Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Like when the users to modify something in the box, the code will
Hmm.
run based on this,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's just start with Codeunit. Okay. So Codeunit is a container for AL code. It's basically essentially a collection of procedures. You can say like it is a collection of procedures or functions. Okay, it's a collection of procedures or functions that you can call from anywhere in Business Central. Okay, so we'll also have a concept called procedure. That is, you can write a function like how you used to write it in the Python. Okay, it's a user-defined function, but it's not an object. Codeunit is an object. You will be creating with an ID. You will be creating with a it will hold some specific thing. And why you actually need to create your coordinate, because if you want to organize reusable code units, business logic. Okay, if you want to organize, usually in the previous sessions and all, we have created some tables and pages and we have written. Here I have given something for you, right? Like these are all basically the business logic. If I wanted to implement a business logic, I will not write it in the table or page. The exact object like table or page, I will not write it. Instead, I will be writing it in the code unit. Why? Because if you wanted to do any changes, okay, any general business logic, it is advisable to write it in the code unit instead of writing it in the individual objects. Okay, so business logic, if for example here I wanted to write something, so I'll be creating one business logic here, another business logic in this, and then another business logic in the table. Instead, you can do all these business logic in the code unit separately by creating a function, and you can call it wherever you want. Okay, this is the basic understanding of code unit. Code unit in the sense, as I told, it's a sample code. It's a small code which you wanted to write it. Okay, and why I really need code unit? Okay, if you wanted to write a business logic that is in a multiple object, instead of writing it in the multiple object, you can create a code unit in a single. You can create a code unit and bring in all the multiple business logic into the single code unit. Okay, to organize the business logic. This is the basic usage of any code unit. And then if you wanted to perform the task without UI interaction, if you wanted to create a UI interaction, you have to create a page. But if you want to perform a task without the UI interaction, then you will be creating a code unit. You can create an automation rule, like if you wanted to test your function, or if you wanted to test your how this function works, then automation routines can be created with the help of the code unit, like posting a document or validations. And if you wanted to publish an API or events, you wanted to go with the code unit. Okay, so we'll be learning API, events, and everything later. But in a simple word, think of this as a library of business functions. If a page or a report needs a calculate, if you wanted to create a tax calculation, you don't write it every time in individual page or table. Instead, you will create a function in the code unit and you will call it wherever you want, even in the report, even in the page. Okay, and you have some key characteristics of code unit. So code unit is an object. Okay, code unit is an object. If I'm referring something to the object, okay, if I'm referring something as an object, which means that you have a specific snippet for that. Okay, so if you just start typing T codeunit, you can see there is a snippet for the codeunit, and this is an object. Okay, and it can contain local function or a global function. It can contain a variable. It can contain events. Okay, and the key character, another key characteristics of this is what, as I told, no specific UI. Okay, it don't have any UI in it. Instead, you will be creating only if you wanted to go with any logic, you will be creating this code unit. Okay, so which means that no layout or UI. It's purely a business logic. It's a purely a backend logic. It works with the backend logic. Okay, so this is an another thing. And this code unit, okay ma'am, you're telling it's there is no business logic, there is sorry, there is no UI, then how will I call this, how will I use this code unit? It's a triggerable, like you have to trigger this code unit. Okay, it's a triggerable, that is you can either manually or or automatically trigger this particular code unit. And you can also test the code unit. Testable. You can create a test code units to test the business logic, whether it meets the business logic or not. Okay, so these are the key functions. So there's a key characteristics of a code unit. Okay, any doubt till this? Okay, so when we start writing the code, we will understand. Okay, so let us just start writing the code and the VS Code. So this is how, as I told, you have to start with T coordinate. Okay, so if you type T coordinate, you can see there is a coordinate here. Okay, so we'll be understanding how to write this coordinate, a simple coordinate here. Okay, I'm just starting with 50100. Okay, so and I'm giving the coordinate as a tax calculation. So I wanted to give tax, I want to calculate the tax. Okay, so I'm just creating a tax calculation coordinate. And again, as I told, this is your object. And if you wanted to give any specific properties for the coordinate, you can write it here. Okay, in this particular space, if you want to give some property. So usually I used to go with a caption property, which tells you like what is this. Okay, caption is not available here. Okay, got it. So here we can just, you have a property called axis description. Okay, tax calculation. Okay, I'm just giving some description for this code unit. Okay, and then 1 minute. Okay, so this is one type of one specific property, and you can see there are various properties available. Okay, in this we often use description. If it is not required, no problem. Okay, and then you can just trigger on run. Okay, so you can just go ahead with trigger on run, or else you can also create a specific procedure. Okay, so trigger on run, for example, if I am writing this trigger, if someone is calling this code unit, then what should happen? This is also possible, or else you can delete this trigger on run and start with procedure. Okay, procedure here. Okay, I will also introduce you what is this. When you want to create a function, okay,